Behind the scenes with Why Watch That.
Madame Referee.
Hey, Critic, how are you?
You know what? I'm doing okay, but we have really gotten some bad news of late. Ooh.
You know, it's amazing because while we're talking, it's 3 days into the week, and we find out that Hollywood's most beloved actor and actress has passed on within a day of one another, and we're talking about Robin Williams and Lauren Bacall.
Right, yes.
Just to be honest, I remember on Monday I was just working on something else, and I got information on my phone from the New York Times, and I didn't quite believe it because it said Robin Williams found dead. And
right.
I clicked on there, and I went and I saw, the circumstances, and I immediately text you to, to let you know. And it just was really hard. It was really hard to believe.
Yeah, and I was in the midst of teaching when your text came through. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Just looking at it, I was like, what? So on a break, I went through and looked at what you wrote and Twitter and all of that. And it was just like, wow. I mean, look, we've tweeted about it. And I just want to mention for Robin Williams, one of my favorite performances of his, I didn't mention it in a tweet because I want to talk about it, and that's Good Will Hunting.
Oh, yeah. That turned things around for
Exactly.
For
because, everyone thinks of him. Right, yeah. Because everyone thinks of Robin as a comedian, which he certainly was, obviously. But it's easy to forget. Yeah, definitely. But it's easy to forget that he is a trained actor. He went to Juilliard. Yeah. He didn't graduate, but he went.
Oh, and, to get into Juilliard, even at that time, was almost next to impossible. So,
yeah,
he definitely had an unusual gift. But Good Will Hunting, oh my goodness, what
Fields medal.
Yeah, that moment. I think it's the classic moment. The moment where the movie turned for me. It turned for a lot of people was when Matt Damon was in his therapy session with Robin Williams' character, and he was basically, it came to the culminating moment of why Matt Damon's character was such a troubled soul. And, as you watch that moment where he says, it's not your fault.
Right.
It was like, whoa. And he keeps repeating, it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yes.
It was such a moment that wasn't acted. I didn't feel like it was acted. I didn't feel like it was pushed. It was just like, and Robin Williams was known for, going, he gave Jim Carrey the leeway,
Exactly,
to be
yes.
as creative and impromptu as possible. But in that moment of Good Will Hunting, I have to agree, it was like, wow, this is a man who, probably has been through some stuff.
Right. And like you said, it really, that scene between the two of them, it really seemed like they were having a real moment. And I think that it's just, that film is special, and his performance in it is special. It was unexpected. And I think it's just great because he has such a wonderful range as an actor.
Yeah.
And everyone has talked about how rare that is, and it really is. It's really not easy to do both of those. To do, the whole physical improv, comedy, voices, all of that, and then be able to strip it all down and just be real.
Exactly. So, I wanted to definitely highlight, he really started to get on the radar with Good Morning Vietnam as far as taking a very heavy subject and bringing light to it. Dead Poets Society was, oh my goodness. And he was even in Fisher King, and we don't remember that all the time. Hook, and then of course when it changed.
You know what? Wait a minute about
everything.
Hook. Now you mentioned that, I just saw that recently.
Oh yeah.
And again, because how do you play a man, a grown man who's forgotten who he was as a kid and goes back to find it? It's just these things.
Yeah.
It's easy to look at it and overlook it and dismiss it, but he's done some great things. Awakening. What about that with De Niro? Remember that one?
Oh, well, that was quite the movie. But what I was going to say was Aladdin. He took voice acting, vocal acting, and brought it to the next level.
Yeah.
No one had ever done that before with what we would call a cartoon or an animation. But he shaped the genie character so much so that, the lines were from his improv.
Right.
They had to change some of the, animation to fit Robin Williams, and that's just a sign of a brilliant man. And then of course there's my absolute all-time favorite, which is Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Watch that. I could watch that probably 50 times in a row and still find something new.
Right.
Find something new. Well, I'll just
speaking of him doing voice work, what's so great about that is he's playing a voice actor in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, and there were rumors that they were going to do a sequel, so unfortunately we won't get that. But we don't need it. He has so many iconic roles that will live on. Everyone is going back now. Yeah.
Yeah. He remember him in The Night at the Museum. He's kind of Teddy Roosevelt. And then he did darker stuff like 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia, which was pretty dark for Robin Williams, but he pulled it off.
Oh, those movies are dark for anybody.
Well, yes, it is.
And that 1 Hour Photo, the stillness that he used, he just stands there and says nothing. It is frightening.
Creepy, very creepy.
Yes.
But anyway, he will be missed, and I'm sure the people listening know the circumstances in which he departed, and it's unfortunate. That the old adage is that people with great comedic talents also have great, battles that they deal with in their personal lives. I don't want to believe that's true, but it's Hollywood's walking it out, and we just personally, I just uplift his family. I know he has a daughter and his wife and family and friends that he's left behind among fans, but true friends that he's left behind, and we're just praying for them. And it's not an easy road, but I tell you what, instead of mourning, which you do have to go through that process, I really celebrate Robin Williams because he has made his mark on Hollywood that can never, ever be duplicated.
No, and like you said, even with Jim Carrey and moving forward, a part of
Jack
it
Black,
is
all those people.
Yeah, and he and even Tom Hanks a bit have helped people to be able to do both comedy and drama. So that's something, that people have been pigeonholed into one or the other. So they've helped with that, especially Robin Williams, because his range is just so big. And I just want to mention, we didn't say he wasn't the butler. Lee Daniels, the butler.
I just looked at that. And played a great Eisenhower. He played a great Eisenhower, so, well done. Hats off to that. There also was another, just literally 24 hours later, one of the last, there's some left, very few, one of the last sultry actresses of the golden age. And we're talking about old Hollywood. Lauren Bacall has
sultry.
Passed away.
Look.
She was 89. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Look, those eyes.
Well, yes. And she will teach you how to whistle. She said, put your lips together and blow. I mean, we kind of laugh at that now, but back then there was, Marilyn Monroe was certainly a sultry actress, but Lauren Bacall really paved the way to the sex siren.
Right. And during and with the censors back then, they had to do a lot of double entendres to get the message across.
They did.
So but I watched one of her classics, Written on the Wind, which is a Cirque film, and he's all about going all the way with the drama. Okay.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but for that style, it was entertaining. So, if you don't know Lauren Bacall, that or even Murder on the Orient Express, which is a huge cast.
Yes.
Of wonderful people in that one. And, she did a film with Barbra Streisand that got her an Oscar nomination. The Mirror Has Two Faces. Yeah, where she played Streisand's mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
brilliantly.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, because it's something, and it's something about an actor who knows who he or she is.
Yes, yeah.
And is confident in that and doesn't need to do anything else.
Well, this is an actress who's had a career from starting film, let alone stage and other things. Film from 1944 all the way to the present time in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a woman who did not stop. She didn't stop acting. She didn't stop contributing to Hollywood. She was even in The Family Guy earlier this year. I mean, here's a woman who from the golden age of Hollywood to The Family Guy. What a great sense of humor, What a great sense of humor. And that voice and that look. She still looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So we just hats off to her, completely hats off to her. And we celebrate you, Lauren Bacall, for paving the way of a woman who has to be looked at and has to be heard because we are drawn to her. So Hollywood, we I won't say we've suffered a loss. It's hurt, but at the same time, look at the shine, look at the brightness of those two actors who have never, ever, ever, taken a false step in terms of their artistry and what they contributed to Hollywood. So
yes,
we salute you.
We certainly do. I think I'm going to go watch Mork and Mindy.
That sounds good. I think I'm going to go ahead and watch Mrs. Doubtfire. That always cheers. Yeah. So, but anyway, we salute you, Lauren Bacall and Robin Williams, and we'll catch you next time.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.
Check out the Why Watch That podcast at whywatchthat.com.